Welcome to NinonSpeaks. I'm Ninon, your host, and then I also have my co-host, AJ. Absolutely amazing. We've been doing this show for some time, and of course, the reason we started NinonSpeaks and actually touching the whole world is because of COVID-19, and we didn't quite know which direction anything was going in, but we still wanted to keep up with showing and also interviewing people mostly in the entertainment business. So we started the Zoom, and here we are. We're doing extremely well, and I don't know how many of you know out there, but we're on the Roku channel, which is amazing, and that's absolutely wonderful. We've been doing that for a couple of months now. I don't introduce anybody, so I'm going to take you over to AJ. AJ, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Ninon. And we have a fabulous show today. We have Lucia and Levi Byrd from the East Coast. They are wonderful and amazing singers and musicians, and we're going to hear a little bit from them in a minute. And also we have the amazing and brilliant DJ, producer, and beat maker, Zevi Ryan. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
Absolutely amazing. We're both honored to have you both on, all three of you on. It's always amazing. Where are you, Lucia? Where are you from? You're back east, but where?
We are in my hometown, Schenectady, New York, where I grew up. Levi and I met in Los Angeles. I've lost count, but I think 34 years we've been playing together.
Oh, how amazing. That's incredible. And it's funny to find somebody, especially in Los Angeles, that you can kind of stick with and you can concentrate on both what you both want. It's very difficult to find that. So 35 years of doing what you want, I think is absolutely amazing. Zevi, how about you? Where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Durham, North Carolina, but right now I'm living in New Orleans.
Oh, you're in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's going on in New Orleans? Anything exciting?
Yeah, it's incredible. There's always something exciting going on in New Orleans. That's a huge reason why I moved here. But yeah, there's a really, really cool, like, kind of emerging DJ scene here, which is really great. And that's a huge reason why I'm here. You know, obviously everyone plays music in New Orleans, and now there's a lot of people remixing it and doing things electronically with music that is also really cool. So yeah.
So are you a DJ?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You are a DJ, because I know that I'm in Las Vegas. I know the DJs in Las Vegas, are getting paid an astronomical amount to be a DJ, which never was so. It was never that big a thing, and then all of a sudden, kind of swept across. And I don't know, is the same thing in New Orleans? Is that the same thing? Do you get a good pay there and a demand for a DJ?
Yeah, there's a huge amount of demand, and it does kind of depend on what kind of parties you want to DJ for and how much like autonomy you want to have over the music that you play, right? So it's very easy to get paid if you want to play like top 40 music or certain types of music. You know, if you're really into EDM, obviously there's a huge market there. But if you're into like more I don't know, in my opinion, more interesting music, maybe lesser known music, and you want to play genuinely what you like, it can be a little bit more difficult to get paid like a lot of money to be a DJ. So it kind of depends like what path you want to take.
I guess it depends whether you're playing privately, as in someone's home and being the DJ, or whether you're playing in a club and you're sort of, I would imagine that would be something very, very different, which is the same here in Vegas, because they play in some of these clubs. They're amazing. And then they have the convention centers, which is another way, and then they have the private parties. So I think they're very much in the demand of that. Now,
Absolutely.
Levi, how are you? What's going on with you? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's so good to have you on the show and to see. So you're actually in New York at the moment. How's it? Is it opening up there? What are they doing? Because New York's been surrounded by a lot of mishaps.
It's doing better, but because of the winter, people are staying indoors, so you have a little problems there. But it's gotten a lot better. So we have the mask mandate, but we're still able to play music.
When you say a mask mandate, do you mean that you can't go into a lot of these places unless you have a mask on?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. We have the same thing in Vegas. It's funny. We wander around and they actually say, no, you can't come in without a mask. And I'm like, wow. So go back to the car, get a mask out and start all over again. You know, and yet we just had the rodeos and they were in town and they're from Texas. They don't wear masks. So
No.
they were let free a lot. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, well, you're walking right next to me and you don't wear a mask and I have to wear a mask. But how do you know that? Where am I
You're
from? Who
protecting
am I?
yourself. Protect yourself. Must protect yourself.
Yeah, I think so. AJ, what do you think about all this? You think it's mandatory?
I think it's amazing. I do have a question. When you're on stage, Levi and Lucia, do you have to wear the mask?
No.
Actually, there's some places that, remember, we went by a place and this young lady told us that she was performing, that she's supposed to wear a mask when she sings. It depends on the venue. It would definitely depend on the venue. We don't know, the next one coming up might have a different mandate rule. The one that's coming up in January, it might be completely different. It's day to day.
Yeah. Does this have an effect to your performances? And this applies to both of you?
Oh yeah, I usually do a lot of interaction with the people. I mean, I've been known to sit on people's laps and sing to them. Can't do that anymore.
No, you can't. Well, if you can take your mask off, why can't you do that?
Well, I probably could, but it's kind of risky. I wouldn't probably risk that. But I do a lot of interaction with people.
Yeah.
And you can't really hold a mic up to them anymore and have them sing into the mic, because then you put it back to yours. You don't know what's going on.
You don't know where that person's been and what's happening. What a world we live in.
You just have to adapt.
Yeah, you have to adapt. But the funny thing is we always seem to talk about where we're from, but it's actually worldwide. It's like everywhere in the entire world that we have to have this protection. We've become a very strange people now. When you play music, what sort of music do you play?
We play rock, blues, reggae, R&B, jazz, country.
Oh, what's that for?
Well, who are you asking?
It's both of you, either one of you, but I was asking you actually. You're right.
Okay,
Yes.
Who? Us?
Yes.
Okay, originals and covers. And Zevi, is that you say name?
Zevi.
Zevi.
Mhm.
Zevi knows what it's like to want to play, kind of obscure music. It's similar for us. If we play all originals, and the people, because sometimes you have to play all originals due to a publishing rights that the venues will not pay the publishing company. So therefore you have to own your own publishing rights and you have to play all originals. So it's a different thing when people come out to hear you and they go, can you play some Santana? Nope, we're doing all originals, and he knows it's a similar thing. You've got it's interesting. Every venue is different, which is basically part of the fun, though.
We play generally rock, blues, reggae, jazz, R&B, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And
R&B most people, but jazz, I'm one of those jazz people. I love the jazz. So as a DJ, do you bring in your own music, or do you perform of what they want, or is it kind of both?
It really depends. So I really like to consider myself like a vibe curator, essentially. So what makes me the happiest is, I think a lot of people think of DJs like playing like really intense music to a bunch of, people going crazy and dancing. And don't get me wrong, I like to play dance music sometimes, but I'm way more interested in playing spaces that like finding the right music for the right space, essentially. And that's kind of what I've started to do more and more. So that's why I say curator as well. It's because, and it depends. So I make my own music, so I'll throw in my original songs if it makes sense for the place that I'm playing at. But if it doesn't, then no. I mean, I'll just play all, kind of remix and, blend different songs together that make sense in the space. So,
So you kind of try to sort of, please your audience, which is really what you want to do. And sometimes they want to dance to the music, and sometimes they just want to listen. So you have to. Do you ever write your own music or do anything like that? Yeah.
I actually think that producers nowadays, I think the terminology and the language around music is very interesting, because we think of producers, you know, in the sense that they get everybody together, and, you know, which can happen obviously in music. But I actually think that a lot of like beat makers or producers today are much more similar to composers, because they're not really playing that much music, but they're arranging it. And through the use of like a bunch of different, you know, tools, I would say, in you know, the electronic music scene, you're able to not really play anything, but you're essentially composing. You're like, oh, well, if I had a horn player, this is how this would go. So yeah, I think that composing and like producing music is like pretty similar actually in a lot of ways.
It is in a lot of ways, but because is that the internet that makes it much easier, that you can do it easier? And I think that's why so many people that love to compose and they want their own music out there, they don't have to spend all this money on going into a studio and hiring all these people. You can actually get all these people on the internet, and that's made a big difference. So you know, going back to COVID, this has kind of changed everything, because now they were forced to do that because they weren't allowed out. So in one way, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I actually have a kind of interesting story around that. So one of my favorite, he is very much a producer of music. Like, he has access to studio space and he brings musicians in that are trying to create an album. You know, he sets all the mic stands up and all that stuff, right? And then during COVID, he actually switched his entire business model over to, he's a drummer and like by heart, and he's really good at making drum sounds. And so he does this thing called drum breaks. And that's actually a huge part of what I use in my music, is I use a lot of his drum breaks. So, you know, he has all this equipment and he like records his drums through like analog tape players, and then like, you know, does all these things. And then he sells his drum breaks on the internet for producers. And he completely changed his business model from being like a studio producer to kind of like a drummer creator. And it's essentially the same thing, a lot of the same techniques, but he changed his entire like model of the way he makes music because of COVID, and it's working way better for him, honestly. So yeah.
And I think this has done an awful lot. I'm Levi, in the business, and you've been in the, both of you have been in the business a long time. Do you find the same thing?
We use a digital audio, we would call it digital audio workstation. And we create our own songs and our own originals. We use Reaper, which is a great platform. And then the last project that we put out is called Mama Moon and More. You can Google that, and it's available to download and stream on all the platforms, all the popular platforms. And we did everything in our home studio, and we got a pretty good sound, I think.
Yeah, and we used to play across the country, and we played in Vegas at Bourbon Street casinos that don't exist
anymore.
Bourbon Street Casino, Flamingo, and Continental Hotel, those old casinos. So we used to play, we would take bands, take a drum and a bass player, and they would put us up in the casino. We'd play, you know, but it wasn't like they weren't big shows. It was like we were playing while the people were
playing their slot machines.
Yeah. You lose your note because you have to play a C, and sometimes the guy rings the machine, the slot machine, it hit a C. You know, he used to, whoa, it's cool.
The little slot machine took over the action.
Yes, and we want to say thank you and hello to Georgette, because Georgette was Yes, she was the original entertainer. She's part of our NinonSpeaks team. She introduced us to Levi and Lucia. So we want to say thank you, Georgette. And I think they have a lovely, beautiful music that they want to share with us. Do you want to take it away?
Yeah.
Sure, we'll play one number, Pretty Baby.
Okay, go ahead. All I really want is a boy to say, pretty baby, don't be blue. Pretty baby, don't be blue. All I really want wants a boy to say, I'll always be here for you. You want to take an evening walk to the river in the park. You're scared of the night. You can't see after dark. Your wishes are in the water. They're washing out to sea. So it seems. So long and goodbye to all your busted up dreams. All I really want is a boy to say, pretty baby, don't be blue. Pretty baby, don't be blue. All I really want's a boy to say, I'll always be here for you.
Going home.
All I really want is a boy to say, pretty baby, don't be blue. Pretty baby, don't be blue. All I really want's a boy to say, I'll always be here for you. All I really want's a boy to say, I'll always be here for you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Bravo, bravo, brilliant. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've made my day. Thank you, Levi. Thank you, Lucia.
Gracias.
Did you write that?
Lucia wrote that.
Yes,
You wrote it.
yep.
When you write something like that, what comes into your mind? Is it an incident? Is it something you're putting together? Is it a memory of something? Where do you get it from?
It's a compilation of all the men I've always been with, that I've ever been with.
I was not expecting.
All of them.
Yeah, but when you say, oh, you're not talking about one, you're talking about more than one.
Of course, only one.
Oh, only one. Okay.
Don't make me laugh. Levi and I've been together 34 years, but I have a past. And Dante will tell you about that.
Okay.
I started in burlesque.
She was like Dante.
Burlesque, I started in burlesque.
You
And
were
then
a burlesque dancer?
yeah, I
Really?
was. Yep,
Where?
back in the day.
Did you?
All over the country.
Did you?
Ended up Los Angeles at the Body Shop was my home base for many years, but I would, go out on the road and I'd come back, and I think I might have crossed paths with Dante in Florida. We
I was
never
going to say, did you ever perform with Georgette?
No, but I've seen all of her shows online, and we have friends in common, and she's amazing. What a tough cookie she is.
So what made you switch from that to what you're doing now?
Oh, well, at some point, I know that people would not want to see me without my clothes.
I actually do agree with that.
Segue. If I can do segue into live musical entertainment, then that's what I did. I started, and it was mostly in Los Angeles. I did video performance workshops with a gentleman named Bob Korf. He was fantastic, and it helped me segue. I got to perform in front of live audiences at Gazzari's on the Strip and a few other places. And I met Levi, and he needed a singer. So we connected in LA.
When you
So
connected in
I love that story. I love that share.
Mhm.
That's so beautiful. What do you think, Zevi?
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, I think it's really cool that, I mean, I feel like it's a lot of the same skills, right? Like being a performance artist, you're getting on stage, you're being in front of people, you're, you know, being vulnerable with people, you're like entertaining people, like, you know, that's the skill. It transfers over. It makes a lot of sense. It's awesome.
It actually, when you say it transfers over, it does, because a lot of what I did on stage as a burlesque entertainer, I dance in the shows we do together. I
Right.
use a puppet. I have a puppet that I
Right.
use sometimes, it's sort of ventriloquisty. And then,
Yeah.
you know, and the wardrobes, I use feathers all the time, depending on the song we're doing stuff. So there is the carryover easily from
You know,
burlesque into
it's funny what you're saying, but I sometimes don't think we realize, this comes to all of us, of the talents we have and we hold. And sometimes we're a little afraid of making that switch because we're afraid, you know, will it succeed? Will it be okay? And of course it will be, because don't you think so, Levi?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think all arts are it seems like you can weave in and out of all arts forms.
I mean, do you play more than one instrument, or do you just stick to the
Yes, I
guitar?
play almost everything, really, but I play my main instruments are guitar and tenor sax. I play saxophone.
Mhm.
You are amazing. Both of you are amazing. Don't
You're amazing.
we love our artists, don't we, Ninon? Don't we love our artists?
I just love how talented everybody is. And I can also turn around and say to my co-host, AJ, how talented she is. Because you unless you get out there and you sort of, you know, you get a little worried going on the stage and think, I'm going to perform something different and let's hope it works. And of course it's going to work, because you've already got that feeling, you've already got that sort of, you know partly how it works. But I think a lot of us don't really like to test it because they don't want to make a mistake. But it doesn't matter, because people are people, and people accept what you are and who you are. You've got guts enough to get out there, don't you think?
Yeah, what's the worst
Sure.
thing that can happen? They
Yeah,
can
what
laugh
can
at you.
happen?
Uh-oh.
They can turn you off.
Yeah, really, you don't like it, change the station.
Yeah. No, what do you think?
I actually heard so I was at a DJing workshop last Tuesday, and someone said one of the wiser things, and it probably transfers over to a lot of art, but he was like, you always know a good DJ because if they mess up, they laugh at themselves and keep it moving. And you can't tell on their face that they messed up. Whereas like an inexperienced DJ, when they mess up, they're like, oh no, like they, you know, whatever. And it's true. It's like, if you've done it for a long time and you're really good at it and you know your talent and you're secure in yourself, you're like, oh, I made a mistake. Here we go. Keep going.
Yeah, you're the only person that knows you made the mistake. Usually the audience, like a big band plays and somebody plays something different or the wrong note. Only you know it. Only the band knows it. The audience have no idea what you're up to.
It's so true.
Yeah, they really don't. What would you advise the younger generation or somebody going into the trade of being a DJ? What would you advise them to kind of do? Because I love to help the younger generation. How do they get into it?
I think the first thing I would say is learn to listen to music. I really do think that, especially with like the equipment that we have now, obviously you have a program on your laptop, or like you have it on your actual CD controller. And what I noticed a lot is people are just looking and they're using that to kind of dictate how they want to DJ. And I'm actually learning more in New Orleans how important it is to just really know your music and really, really listen. And I think that, that would be the one thing I would say. And I actually teach kids too. So that's been something that's been more central to when I teach. Yeah, I teach kids how to DJ. So that's going to be the thing that's more central as I continue to teach kids, is like, it just is really important to like learn how to listen to music and what's going on in the music. And like, I think that's
Well, I will definitely share both of your emails with each other so you can connect
Yeah,
a DJ
absolutely.
and beautiful musicians, and you're both
Yeah.
creators and artists. So I'll definitely send you that email. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sounds great.
Absolutely.
And
In New
AJ,
Orleans, in New Orleans, don't they have more sort of jazz there? You know, is it more of a
Oh,
jazz
so
town?
much.
Yeah.
It is so much of a jazz town, and I really love that. I mean, I love jazz music myself.
I do
One of the
too.
reasons why I moved here is there's this place called the Royal Frenchman, and it's like right around the corner from my house. And literally every night they have jazz music, and it's so good. Like the talent blows my mind. Like I just went on a random Monday night, and it was Prince's birthday that night, and so the whole place was like purple, and like the whole entire like area was purple, and they were just doing like jazz covers of like Prince songs, and it was incredible. So yeah, I mean, there is that, but I think that kind of transfers over into like people make all sorts of music here, and I think that energy, like the energy of jazz music, has transferred into like every single person that makes music here, because you can't not. I mean, I wake up every morning hearing people practicing. I hear a brass instrument every single day, just because that's the city. It's just
that's just the way they are. That's what New Orleans. I always think of New Orleans as being music. It's playing all the time, and it's like there's not any time, because you go to a place for lunch, and because they serve a lot of fish and shrimp and all this crazy food, which is delicious. But there's always music going on. There's always something happening.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Ninon. I think Lucia wanted to ask a question. I wanted to make sure she had a moment to ask. Go ahead, Lucia.
should we share our website and our YouTube channel?
Oh yes, look, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. Well, let's do it.
I just want to let you know.
Let's do it right now.
It's time to wrap it up. So sorry, Ninon.
That's okay. You can't help that. Time goes by. Okay, websites.
Okay, so ours is thelittlezippers.com. And if you want to look up our YouTube channels, just look us up by our name, Lucia Byrd and Levi Byrd, and he has his own and I have my own, but the website is combined. And then if you want to search our most recent project, it's Mama Moon and More. Google that, and you can stream it or download it on all the popular platforms.
Let's go. So you've got a lot of music platforms now, haven't you?
Yeah, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube Music, all our stuff is there. If you want to Google it, it'll show up on those platforms.
And you can also invent it your own, put it together on your own, and put it on the platform on your own. So you really don't need an agent. You don't need anybody, as long as you know what you're doing.
We used Landra. Landra, like in between company that helps us get it up and running and available that way on the platforms.
Okay. And so what about you?
Yeah. I mean, the best way to hear my stuff is on SoundCloud or Mixcloud, because those are the only platforms that allow you to upload like mixes and stuff without taking it down due to like licensing issues and stuff. So I'm just Zevi on all those platforms, like capital ZEV, lowercase I. On Instagram, I'm ZRyan04. And I'm also Zevi on Facebook as well. I have a Facebook page and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where you can find my stuff.
Well, Zevi, I think both of you should know each other, as you said, AJ. You need to make sure they've got each other's emails. They can also work together, because I always think, working together, you can get more out there and more putting together. And I just want to, AJ, what would you like to say?
I just want to say thank you so much for your beautiful original music, and we're not going to have any copyright claims now when I upload it to YouTube. So thank you so much, Lucia and Levi. We love you. And also thank you, Zevi, for your wonderful knowledge about the DJ world and all that's going on in New Orleans. So thank you. Over to you, Ninon.
Thank you all so much. Because of you, we have a show, and it's incredible to find out what is going on in the music industry in New Orleans, New York, Vegas, everywhere. Funny, music is never going to go out. I don't care if we're in COVID-19, we're all locked up, we're still going to play music. So there's always a place for all of you to invent more. Oh, yeah, there you go. Open your minds up and just do it and put it out there, because the squeaking wheel does definitely get get the audience out there. So don't be afraid of inventing something. Even if you feel that maybe it's not the best thing you've ever written, somebody out there will like it. Believe me, music is here to stay. Absolutely. Thank you for our audience out there for watching. And don't forget to go to Roku, which is our new place, our new platform. We have NinonSpeaks
Cool.
in there, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, we're also moving up the ladder, and also because of COVID, because otherwise we wouldn't have the show, because we started the show because I was afraid and I was worried, I'm going to lose everything. I'm never going to have a show. So Zoom came along and here we are. But because of all our guests and everybody, thank you both, all of you, very much for coming on. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Take care.